Hi everyone, welcome back to Mission 1820 and this week's episode of Have You Ever Wondered? If you're new to the channel, or maybe you're just joining us, but we're in a series called Books of the Bible where we've been giving introductions into each book of the Bible in just 5 minutes or less. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and jump right into this week's book. Now, this week we come to the last of the 13 Pauline Epistles that were written by the Apostle Paul. And that is the book of Philemon, which, by the way, is only one chapter long, making it one of the shortest books in the Bible because it only has 25 verses. Now, Philemon was a wealthy Christian, and he was living in the city of Colossus, who hosted a church in his own house, but he was also the owner of a slave by the name of Onesimus. The book of Philemon is the shortest and most personal of all of Paul's epistles, which tells the story of the conversion of Onesimus. As we mentioned, he was a runaway slave from Philemon. Now, Onesimus had escaped from his owner Philemon, and he'd run away from Colossus to Rome in the hope that he just might disappear into that populous urban environment. But once he was in Rome, Onesimus, either by accident or maybe by his own design, he came in contact with the Apostle Paul, who, by no surprise, led the runaway slave to faith in Jesus Christ. Now, Paul had already been planning to send a letter to the Colossian church by the hand of Tychicus. So in AD 60 or AD 61, from a prison cell in Rome, Paul wrote that personal letter to Philemon, and he sent Onesimus the slave back to Colossus and back to Philemon. Now, if you've read the book, you're going to see that Paul's message to Philemon was a simple one. It's based on the work of love and forgiveness that had been formed in Philemon's heart by God to show that same to the escaped and now believing slave Onesimus. So Paul makes a request to Philemon. He basically says, hey, I want you to forgive Onesimus. I want you to accept him not as a slave, but as a brother in Christ. Because Paul even went a little bit further to ask Philemon to, hey, consider sending Onesimus back to me, because Paul found him useful in God's service. But notice that Paul at any time did not minimize Onesimus' sin during his time with him. So now that we know more about the book, does it have any application to our own lives? Well, you bet it does, and here's why. The book of Philemon is a lesson in the art of Christian relationships, including our own need to show forgiveness when we've been wronged by someone else. You know, it doesn't come easy, forgiveness. Yet, as followers of Christ, we have to recognize that our ability and willingness to offer forgiveness is the result of Christ's saving work on the cross. And because of that fact, forgiveness serves as a determining factor in who we say we are as Christians and how we hope to live our lives as Christians. You know, they say that bitterness is like swallowing a poison pill and waiting for the other person to die. And when we do not forgive those who have wronged us, that bitterness will take root in our hearts and it will choke the life out of us. You see, the book of Philemon illustrates that principles like the love of God and forgiveness in Christ, well, they have real and important impacts in each of our daily lives. So with that, I hope that this introduction is going to help you get started in the book of Philemon. So God bless, and thanks for watching.